Star Wars: The Force Awakens. This really was the most anticipated film, at least to me, of 2015. From what I saw, just all the crazy hype behind the movie. Now, the movie takes place pretty much the time frame that it took between this and Return of the Jedi to come out. It's 32 years, and it seems from watching the movie that that's about the time frame that they were using in between the two movies. So I really don't even count the most recent films besides this one. I kind of count them as a wash, and I count the previous true Star Wars film as Return of the Jedi. So, the big question, how did it live up to the hype? Well, the reality is J.J. Abrams had a lot of pressure on him coming from, he's done Mission Impossible, he did Star Trek, he did the most recent Star Trek, I think it was Into the Darkness. So, myself included, I know there was a lot of people kind of wondering if he would even be able to pull this off, and the answer is yes, he could. Abrams kept a true Star Wars feel to the entire movie. He threw in a bunch of Easter eggs that I know a lot of the die-hard Star Wars fans probably saw throughout the entire film, which is going to obviously keep them pretty entertained throughout. And one thing that I thought was really, really cool, he had something insane, like a $200 million budget, yet he wanted to stay true to some of the Star Wars feel that the older movies had. So he still did some of the miniature models in front of a green screen, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, he did a bunch of CGI and stuff too, but he did a really, really good job when you find that type of stuff out. And it makes sense why there's so many parts in this movie that almost feel like you're watching an updated version of the previous Star Wars films. On top of all that, there are some pretty good action sequences throughout the entire movie. It really feels like a non-stop action movie from the start of the movie to the end of the movie. Of course, there's some dialogue in between, but the dialogue's not bad. It's not like it slows the film down. And really, there's maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then it goes into another crazy action scene. So yeah, the starting of the movie to the end of the movie is non-stop. It's going to keep you entertained throughout the entire movie. Now, obviously, there's a massive cast in this entire movie. I'm not going to go into detail to all the original members as far as the Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. You guys already know all that stuff. So I'm really going to focus on some of the new members and how they did. Daisy Ridley plays Rey, and in my personal opinion, I think she shines through the entire movie. With that being said, when she first came onto the screen, I wasn't entirely fond of her. She didn't come off super likable at first, but I kind of have a feeling that's what they were going for, because throughout the movie, during the character development, as she grew as a character, we kind of grew more fond and more attached to her, at least for me. She comes off believable, she comes off tough, and she is a badass. John Boyega, who plays Finn, he is a likable character. He kind of, at least in my opinion, wins over the audience within the first 15 minutes of the movie. I can't really get too into detail about it or too in depth as far as his background or where he comes from, because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but I'm sure he will win you over as well. The one actor who I was not particularly fond of, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, but Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. The most disappointing thing about this, Kylo Ren looked super awesome. He had that voice coming through the mask that was a super intimidating voice, and it's not like Driver is a bad actor. So what didn't work for me? The problem, at least for me, is Driver has a zero intimidation factor about him, at least physically. There's nothing about him that you see and you're like, wow, that guy, he looks pretty crazy. In fact, when I first saw him and saw his face, it almost ruined the entire character for me. I couldn't take that character serious anymore. So like I said, it's not that he's a bad actor. there's just certain parts people can't play, and I don't feel like Driver can play a really intimidating, badass villain. One thing I did do going into this film is I completely shut out all of the hype. I didn't go into it going, oh my god, a new Star Wars. I went in and I looked at this as a single film. I cut out all the old Star Wars, all the Star Wars before this. I went in solely looking at this, and no doubt the die-hard Star Wars fans are gonna leave this movie going, oh my god, the movie's flawless, it was perfect. But I feel if people went into it with my mindset, they would probably have at least a somewhat different opinion about it. With that being said, Abrams definitely put out the best Star Wars film in 30 plus years. He did a good job. I'm sure he's going to be the one who gets brought back in if there are any sequels on top of it. I'm sure it's going to have even more hype than this. And I'm sure it's going to bring in a ton more money, and there's going to be more people lined up, because at the end of the day, everybody loves Star Wars. And even people that don't love Star Wars see this movie. And there's people that are like, man, I hated Star Wars. Well, yeah, I saw it. I mean, yeah, I saw it, but I hate Star Wars. And that's just the reality. Everybody sees it, whether they like it, whether they don't like it, because it's talked about and it's hyped up. And I'm sure it's going to happen with all the next movies. Like I said, if there's a sequel, same exact thing. Judging this film as a single film, not getting all into the hype and everything, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. There's going to be some people that are mad, but it is what it is. I don't think it is a flawless, fantastic film. It is a good film. It's super exciting. There's some really good scenes, but there's some stuff that doesn't work, and it's hard to get into because I don't want to give spoilers if there is anyone who hasn't seen it yet. But if you have not seen it, or if you have seen it, go in and try and see it with a different mindset. See if it changes your opinion about the movie. Like I said, all the die-hard Star Wars fans are going to say this movie's a 10 out of 10. Everything was perfect. So go in. Let me know what you guys think. If your opinion differs than mine, please leave a comment. Let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks. If you guys like the review, check out some of my other reviews. And always remember, please subscribe. It's right down here. Down here. Maybe it's over here. It's probably over there. Thanks, guys.